And welcome, good morning, everyone, to the Meta HSE Championship round, where we get to see which teams will be taking that final step forwards towards the coveted grand final that everyone has been working so hard to get. My name is Ewan Midnight Reed, and joining me today for our two Bo3 finals is going to be Nathan Mendez. Man,
I think
how
you got that
are
right.
you?
You
Okay,
got it right in the end there. We got
actually.
I was like, wait. Is his last name Mendrix or is it
I
Mendez?
panicked a little bit, I'm not
Damn.
gonna lie.
Quickly. It's all good, Ewan. Read midnight. Uh
Nailed it.
you're like, damn, I deserve that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
I'm feeling
that's
great.
fine. All right, so now we've got the also horrible naming situation out of the way, guys. Obviously, we do have two best of threes for you today here. This will be the run of the lower bracket between
Hmm.
all of these, between our three teams today. Obviously, last week we did witness the upper end of the bracket, and at the end of the day, it was Kingsgrove North that were able to come out on top there. So obviously, they've moved to the next step. And now we're going to see which team is going to join them. But of course, they have to fight their way through it. And the first match of the night should be quite an exciting one. It is going to be De La Salle, the representative from Victoria, facing off against Botany Downs Secondary College, which is our representative from New Zealand. And this isn't the first team, this time these two teams have met each other. So it should be quite interesting to see how they're going to go in I suppose you could say, a grudge match for one of these two teams.
Absolutely. What's great about this again is this was actually the first match that started off the quarterfinals. So right now, it's not just really a team that says, "Hey, it's a bit of a grudge." No, this is actually we started this playoffs. You actually managed to take us down. Now it's our turn to get some revenge. Obviously, it was Botany Downs who was able to overcome the De La Salle Knights last week. So this time around, hopefully, De La Salle's done a little bit of work, basically put in their compositions into play. Everyone sort of had a chance to really figure out 11.17 now. I'm hoping that we see some really good strategies come into the play.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see if memory serves. I remember seeing a Hecarim last time, which is a little bit of a nod champion to come through. And I wonder, um, are they still going to go for the default comfort that we're so comfortable in seeing? Again, is 200 years going to sort of default to the Aphelios? Well, more than likely, an Aphelios is
Yep.
quite strong right now. But will Rage Rider again pick up the thresh that we know works so well with the Aphelios, or is it still going to be these other style of champions that they have on? Because I don't recall a Thresh in the hands of Rage Rider. I remember him going for like a Bruisier tank, but it
Yep.
wasn't a Thresh.
Yeah, it was really along those lines of more along Nautilus, the Leonas, still work extremely well with the Aphelios. Of course, Thresh just seems to be the ideal pick that you'd want to have with the Aphelios, specifically because he is a very immobile champion, and having the Thresh to throw that lantern out, give him a little bit of extra wriggle room in cases to allow for better positioning, makes perfect sense.
Hmm. Well, we'll find out, Mendrix, as we are getting into our first game of the night. And again, this is the best of three. So if you mess up the first game, you still have a chance of redemption. So let's see what will happen here. Well, the bans themselves should be rather targeted, honestly, and I kind of like that even the first band's taking their time. It's like, okay, make sure we're banning what we want to get rid of, and
Yep.
one of the highest tier junglers is the first victim so far.
And again, Trundle has really crept back into this popularity again because he has that ability to flex along the way. He can really be placed either in that top jungle or even support role. So it makes sense that, hey, if we don't really have a player that excels at it, let's just take him off the board. That way we can focus on our own comfort picks while not worrying about those metas that are really destroying us right now.
Yeah. And speaking of strong picks, unfortunately, the Cult of Thresh loses yet another player as Thresh is on the ban list there. Rage Rider obviously has been putting some time into that champion, but unfortunately, we will not see it come to fruition in game number one here. And Xanad's Cassidon, yeah, what a surprise.
Understandable.
Understandable. Have a good day.
Yeah, definitely understandable. Zeta definitely loves to have his assassin picks come into it. I feel like Caston's the real outlier in his champion pool that he's coming to play with. But the other thing that comes into effect of that is, of course, Xanad, when he does get to that 25-minute mark, if he is relatively unharassed throughout that particular stage of the game, he will become a complete monster. So best to just take that off the board, not have to worry about that as a ticking time bomb in the back of your mind. The other
Hmm.
thing to take into account here I want to address is the ban of the Galio as well. Now, Galio is an interesting pick, something that you haven't really been seeing throughout this tournament, maybe a bit more, I guess you could say, in the international meta, specifically probably around that LCK or that China stage. Really, when the meta starts to solidify, it makes sense to start picking up these global cooldowns with the ultimates that have that real big impact in gameplay, specifically with that hero's entrance. Would love to see something along the lines of that being mimicked with perhaps, say, a Twisted Fate or maybe even a Nocturne. Just something to have a little bit of a mix, create a bit of paranoia, and that really does begin to mess with the solidified meta at the moment.
Yeah, well, so far we are getting though what we kind of do expect here. Graves is the first pick in here for De La Salle, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. It's a flexible champion; it can go into hell anywhere in the top half of the map. But
Yep.
he got through. The Ziggs snuck through Mendrix, and you and I both know this is one of the most meta bot laners that there are, and they can easily be flexed to the mid lane as well. So I'm really, really interested to see, do they just keep the Ziggs as a flex till all the way to the end of draft?
Absolutely, that's what you want to look to do at this point in the game. Because do remember they are going to have the last pick coming into this, so that does mean they will be able to counterpick whatever they want to in this case, and hopefully it will be either looking towards counterpicking the mid lane. I expect that's specifically the best way to go about it because of course that gives you the most impact around the map, especially when you pair it with some support from the jungler. And the fact that they've picked up a J4 also suggests that perhaps what they're looking to do is really snowball the mid laner in this particular case, because those other two ganks from J4 are absolutely devastating.
Hmm. Can definitely cause a few problems. I think it's fair to say coming through
Yeah.
here is the other lock in I find a bit surprising, if I'm to be honest, if you hear Mendrix, the Karma. She did receive a little bit of a change, and depending on who you ask, it wasn't necessarily for the better.
Hmm.
With I think it was like 2 or 3 patches ago, but instead, obviously, De La Salle thing, hey, look, still a good champion, and where is it going to go? Because obviously, it's not in the
Has
bottom
to be
lane. You
middle.
have a
Has to be
Braum.
middle top. Has to be middle top. That Brom can't really go anywhere. So if we're to really look at the expectation here, I imagine it would be that mid and top. It gives a little bit of a question mark for Botany Downs here to deal with. Like, hey, where are DLSL Nice put in this? What are they going to plan to do in the scenario? I suspect probably mid would be the way to go, especially because we have seen a few target bans go the way of Zenid. Even, for example, the Echo is something I've seen him play in the past. So it makes sense that perhaps maybe that's him just digging deeper into his champion pool. And when you've also got a Graves, when you have the ability to start buffing him up in those later stages of the game, he can be absolutely monstrous. So perhaps giving him just that little bit of extra support just to make it that idea of protect the Graves in this case does mean that they're probably looking for a more elongated team fight style here. They're trying to actually wear down their opponents in the middle of a team fight, whereas on the flip side of things, they're looking pretty much like they want to engage. Maybe a few bruising bombs coming from Ziggs, but directly afterwards, when the J4 does come in, I imagine that's when they're going to perhaps throw all of their eggs on the basket and see what they can pick up.
Yeah, well, we'll see what else they want to pair it up with because obviously we are still waiting to see what other champions the teams are feeling. Because so far, of course, the ban list coming through here, the
Mm-hmm.
Ornn, what a surprise. Sure, it may not be necessarily meta right now, but it definitely is a tough beast to take down. And Camille LeBlanc, arguably two of the stronger laners in those two individual roles there. So I do quite like them being banned. Although the Lulu surprises me a little bit here.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm also a bit surprised by it as well. We know that with the Aphelios now that Ziggs is definitely going to be in the mid lane, so perhaps it would come across there. But typically, when you are looking at the Aphelios, you want to pair him with something that has a little bit more zone control when it comes to protecting. Yes, the enchant is nice to keep him alive. But at the same time, I feel like Aphelios really strives when he's got someone as a mega front line to stop big
hmm.
initial bursts of damage, rather than someone who's trying to pick up the pieces after the fact.
Yeah, but does not necessarily look like Botany Downs are in agreement with us here, Mendrix. The Morgana locked in here for a bit of protection. So there's no beefy front line in the front, but the Aphelios will not, or should not, I should say, be getting crowd controlled up that much. But then again, how many times you want to burn a Black Shield to deal with the slows of the Ashe that has been rising to popularity here with the double Freljord bot lane?
Yeah, and Ash really is just another champion that begins to get back into the meta as everyone begins to figure it all out. Everyone understands, okay, cool, this is what's really popular at the moment. what really is able to actually dance around the majority of these things once you figure out how the particular champions work with their items. Hey, you know what? I know the ranges now. I know where I can be safe to do this. This long range engage that Ash brings to the team utility is just so huge. All I need to do is make sure my positioning is on point, and I should be able to become a very useful member for the team. That's why we begin to see Ash always come back into the meta towards these later stages of the year.
Yeah. She always seems to be lurking around there. Apparently, it may or may not have something to do with the fact, Matrix, that she can just sort of engage at will as well. A utility carry is really, really important. And speaking of utility, look at De La Selle's composition now that they've rounded it out with a set in the top lane there. That is a ton of damage and a ton of backup for that damage there. The Karma and the Braum should mean that if De La Salle are winning a fight, there should be no escape. Speed up from the Karma, slow from the Ash, slow from the Braum, slow from the Graves. There's no escape from this composition.
And we have seen Daiki perform extremely well in the set throughout this competition as well. I'm pretty surprised that out of all the bands they managed to get rid of, they decided to get rid of the Camille. Set has been really one of those meta top laners that has been causing a lot of problems for a number of teams, especially with the fact that he's able to create these comebacks. The ability to engage team fights by essentially running into it, building a huge shield to reflect any damage that comes into it is a fantastic comeback mechanic if you are behind the 8 ball going into a team fight. And then you can follow through, of course, by using your showstopper directly afterwards, basically dropping a bigger member into the team here, most likely the Aatrox. So you can really turn around team fights or really entire games with this set, which is why we've seen it being banned away in most cases.
Yeah, get rid of that. I mean, I ban set. Like, when I play top lane, the first thing I do in my games is just get rid of the set, because mathematically correct set is nightmare fuel. And while I don't expect mathematically correct set in this kind of game, it's still just so difficult to deal with. But then let's look at Botany down for a little bit here, because they've got a nice bit mid of meta. You got the Aphelios, you've got the Ziggs, you've got Aatrox, which has been rising back up there in terms of what is a meta jungler, a top laner, I should say, sorry.
Yep.
And then you've got the Jarvan, who you and I have discussed several times, and I think we both could have come to the conclusion that Jarvan is the oh crap, what do I play jungler.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Obsessed can't play a good Jarvan, and I'm not saying a good Jarvan can't do well, but especially nowadays with these junglers held like the Graves, like the Kindred, like the Kane, Jarvan just is sort of lower down on that totem pole here. So, will this Graves be able to bully out Obsess's Jarvan?
Look, it's definitely possible in that sense. The big thing with Jarvan is that his clear is nowhere near as quick as Graves. That's the real big key here, and possibly one of the reasons why he falls down that popularity in terms of the ladder is that, of course, his clears are just not really at the same speed as all the other meta junglers at the moment. That means his reliability is literally tied to whether his ganks is successful or not. So Obsess is really going to be hard pressed to make sure that he puts out some real pressure, actually land some kills in the process of that as well in the landing phase, because otherwise, if he doesn't do that, Yoseki will be running around the map. He will be cleaning up as many camps as possible, and he will be able to find an advantage that way. So really is on Obsess to make sure that he does bring a massive advantage to the team by making those ganks successful. Otherwise, he will fall behind, and that's definitely going to be a weak point at the moment here for Botany Downs.
Yeah, but the saving grace, I feel like, is that if nothing else, there's a pretty easy lanes to gank. Aatrox has enough crowd control to set you up. Ziggs can throw the Karma back towards him so Jarvan can get an easy opening. And Morgana, the fallen queen of crowd control, I think we've all been hit by enough Dark Bindings to get those AFK notifications. So it's not like Obsessed doesn't have an opening to get into those lanes. But guys, speaking of openings to get into, we will be going to a short break. And when we come back, it'll be opening into game number 1 here for the Meta HSE run for the championship rounds. And we are getting ready for our first game of the night here. Again, De La Salle and Botany Downs Secondary College will be fighting it out here in a first best of three series. And again, this is just the first step for both of these teams here, Mendrix. Obviously, these teams did run into each other previously. It went, I think it's fair to say, less than ideal uh, for De La Salle. And now they've got a chance of redemption, and they're going to have to make it work because if you win this best of three, you've got another best of three waiting in the wings later today. So you can't burn everything, every bit of your mental energy coming into the first match here.
Yeah, and again, it is against Kingsgrove as well, who, the Panda Republic, who has been absolute monsters throughout this entire competition. And to be honest, it's kind of a bit expected. They did have a little bit of trouble making their way there as well. So it does mean that we are relatively competitive teams waiting in the wings. So I'm definitely interested to see where that comes into that.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news,
yeah?
Hendrix. It is Mansfield State High School from
Oh,
Queensland.
sorry, I
that is
completely
waiting.
forgot about that.
Kingsgrove advanced to the winners bracket and is waiting
right.
for the survivor of whoever survives today. They are the penultimate boss.
That's right.
There. So
Sorry. I was getting a bit ahead of myself. I really wanted to see the finals, okay?
I don't blame you. So am I. I really want to get into the finals here, but unfortunately, the lower bracket needs to be found out because obviously we need to see who will be meeting Kingsgrove up at the top of the food chain.
Yes.
And well, again, step one is De La Salle and Botany Downs, as the early game is just so far no early shenanigans when it came to the level one. Standard, starting positioning for both of our junglers here. And now, I'm more interested, or most interested, to look at A, this middle lane, because I love watching Ziggs, and B, the pathing of our junglers, because obviously that is pretty important for the start of the game, because I don't expect solo kills in the laning phase.
Yeah, you can see the J4 has decided to opt in for a little bit of an elongated kill path. Just letting you pick up those raptors and the pros of that. So instead of going for that level 2 gank, we'll be trying to match this Graves in terms of that clear potential. I really do expect, or really do hope, that Obsessed looks for a gank before the Graves makes one happen, because if, the longer you actually go on in this game without forcing a gank out with a J4 early, you're losing a lot of value. And of course, there's a little bit of, I guess you could say, carefulness that needs to be, or caution that needs to be taken from the opposing team dealing with the Jarvan, purely because you need to think about, hey, a level 2 gank could come out. Let's not really push the ladder in terms of forcing out pressure in these lanes. We need to wait until at least 3 minutes 30 before we're relatively clear and he's not going to be ganking us.
Yeah. Well, the Obsess obviously is not looking for a too early a gank, despite rushing both buffs, which is so standard here on Jarvan, is going back onto the Wolf camp here. And in a way, I can see why. Look at the bot lane here. It's a bit too pushed up for any sort of easy gank to come through. And, I mean, you could look for the middle lane, but instead, it will just be the Scuttle Crab start for both of these junglers here. And pretty stock standard between both of these teams so far. But again, we need to see something out of this Jarvan here, because otherwise he just starts falling behind, and I hate seeing junglers falling behind the mark.
And you can really see it right now. It's already beginning to happen. This Graves did go into a full clear. The entire map on that blue side has been completely cleared out for the jungle camps. As you can see, he's now making his way into that Scuttle Crab, whereas the J4 chose to back a little bit earlier. He's now making his way towards those Krugs, which means then he'll be able to finally catch up in that tempo. But of course, this means the Graves now is a little bit free to begin to make a perusal in the enemy jungle, have an idea where he is. As you can see, he's going to see the Raptor camp is gone, so he's going to try to count out when that was, and that actually allows him to see what the pathing exactly was for this J4 now, so he's got an idea of where he's going to be from the map, where he started. All those sort of details now come to light.
Yeah, and that obviously makes Obsess's life a little bit harder. He's been potentially spotted out, and, well, part of the impact of a gank is that they don't see it coming. Well, unfortunately, if you get spotted out there, it just makes it that much harder. So I wonder if that's going to open up the side of Botany Downs to make an unconventional gank. Because again, with the Jarvan, I think it is just so important to get ahead in the early stages of the game. But so far we're seeing a scrap down in the bottom lane here, but Rage Rider going to get out without too many problems there. But that was a nice trade coming out from Botany Downs lineup here. And speaking of nice trades, even in the top half, they're getting into it.
Yeah, of course, the fact that Aatrox is a little bit of a drain tank, can continue to sustain up every time he manages to land those critical hits, within those zones is going to be able to actually keep a little bit of an advantage here over Daiki. Very important that he continues that guerrilla warfare tactics, just in and out. You don't want to get into an extended trade with the set, because of course he can follow through directly afterwards and return that damage that you've been dishing out. It is, you can see a lot of the pressure coming across there, but at the end of the day, even though they may be pushing up, they may be more effective in terms of getting those trades out. The gold's dictating a little bit of a different story here. You can see it's starting to edge out a little bit in their favor. A little bit's probably going to be on that Graves, but of course that means the rest of the teams here on the side of DLSL are actually beginning to at least ramp up in terms of getting a bit of extra gold underneath their pocket. As I say, that it is beginning to swap around, so a little bit of things there being dropped from both sides. It's still going to be a relatively even competition.
And what I'm a bit surprised that this early game is as slow as it is, Mendrix. Again, we talk about the fact that Jarvan just feels like it should be doing stuff in the early game, because the Graves is just going to be able to, well, scale better, in my opinion. So the fact that he's just sort of sitting back and letting the game play itself out is a bit on the more alarming side of things. And I do wonder if maybe the jungler can look for the dragon, right? Like, obviously, it could be the obvious next step, but in the middle lane, we're seeing Bo3 just struggling a little bit here against this Karma. The defensive utility carry has caused a few problems with the Ziggs. He's just not trading nearly as efficiently, and despite the early recall, it does look like Obsess is going to try. Oh no, never mind. Backing away from the early dragon.
Yeah, you really see he was looking around the map just to see how everyone was rotating to it, and everyone is making the rotation. He's got the support from the rest of his team now as well, but they're not giving up this dragon without a fight, and Snowblue is turning it back around. Nice stuff.
Yeah, look at doing nice stuff with the Graviton there, and now bringing out the Chakras with the that Rage Ride is just going to get locked down, taking out Yo. He's trying to fight onto the front line there, but I'm not so sure that's the ideal place for him to be in. Will back away. However, Danny might be getting CC'd up. With the recent arrival of Bo3, they might be forced to let Danny go. Maybe on no health, but still has enough to walk away from the fight.
Yeah, they definitely want to get some out here. Goblets, though.
Oh my lord, in the top side, they're drinking that there. Flashes from both sides. Daiki is on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift right now. Goblets should be able to run him down. The blast plant, though, is available, and Daiki will punch his way over safety.
He's got some people actually still on the chase, though.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure they're going to get here. Oh, no, Daiki doesn't realize it until it's too late. Now, Dilma should be able to get the CC up, and that is just an easy pick up there. A good trade from the top laners, but unfortunately, the reinforcements were in Botany Down's favor.
Yeah, excellent communication coming there from Botany Down. As soon as God Blitz realized Daiki was on the run, he called out the rest of the members. They were in a good position to react directly afterwards, and they're able to make a move and continue to capitalize on this. So really good plays that come across here from Botany Down. Snowball's trying to stop this dragon, though.
Yeah, playing around it. Snowball does have some backup there. Smite was used early, which means there is no smite to secure this. The chance of a steal is there, but not going to work out. It's now 200 years is making Snow's life a living hell. Flashes in a really awkward way and just gets gunned down. And the worst part is Danny is forced to flash to get out in one piece as well.
Yeah, look, it was a valiant effort to try and make your way with that dragon. Say, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can stop them from happening. But you've put 3 members on the top side of the map. It makes sense that the opposing team on this side, and in this case, you know, DLSL is going to say, hey, let's just grab the dragon as a response to the death that happened before. That's our resources are here. You should have realized, you know what? Just let them have that dragon. It's not the end of the world if they get the first dragon. And plus, at the same time, we just don't have enough resources now because they decided to try and engage that. And, you know, basically stay a little bit too far behind and get a bit too greedy and overextend themselves. They've now managed to transfer a kill back into the enemy's favor. So little things there, you know, just need to be taken into account. Maybe do not push the ladder when you don't have the members to keep you alive.
Yeah, bit rough in that situation, but hey, dragon secured for the side of DLSL, so they're going to be relatively happy with that one there, even if they are down a kill. Vis-a-vis, you know, losing Rage Rider earlier on. But hey, it's not a bad position, and I'm always the advocate of early stack those dragons. Get them under your belt because they are a beautiful later game win condition. This Daiki, he's got less health, but he's feeling confident in hell with the Thorn Mail, or I should say the Bramble Vest, in his inventory early on. I don't really blame him for just stepping up and saying, hey, fight me. Do it, you coward.
Yeah, he did a really good job there to actually catch him underneath the tower, which means that, of course, Godblitz had to take a bit of damage. All he had to do was throw one auto attack in his face, and of course the tower would have immediately gone 8. you know what, you're attacking my guy here, so I'm going to come to assistance. And at the same time, of course, Daiki does have the ability to pop that shield up as well. So Gosblitz had to get out of there. He had no choice but to run. Otherwise, he was guaranteed to lose that exchange.
Yeah, and back away for now. It's a bit rough for the Aatrox, honestly. Goblitz isn't going to be... I mean, it could be worse, right? Goblitz is down a bit of CS, but it's not like a, oh, this is the end of the world type of CS disadvantage, which you might want to say about the bot lane, Mendrix. 30 CS, Rift Herald, the amount of gold that is now about to separate these two AD carries is about to be something of, I believe, what we define as a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to balloon a little bit out of control in this case, especially with the fact that they managed to drop the Herald here. Again, that Herald being picked up before. Look at this, though.
Oh, 2 Command Cataclysm. They will pile through there with the Moonlight Vigil. 200 years is going to get torn apart. They're not able to turn that one around. Rage Rider forced to flee. The Mega Inferno Bomb not even required to get those 2 kills and the first turret to boot.
Yeah, you can tell they actually really timed that so well to make that engage. The flashes were still down from the encounters earlier, which means there was no chance to escape the Cataclysm as well. Still had to with a nice quick flash as well. They're continuing, though.
Yeah, Zest comes to back up there. Dilma should not die to this one. Xanet does not land the damage output as we are seeing on the top half of the map here. God is taking a bit of damage from a man with a shotgun, but I just don't think Yoke has the damage. One more hit will do it, but not able to get it. Daiki does not have flash, but he's spamming the R, spamming the W, but not able to get in range. And Goblins is now the bait. The food is Daiki and Yo. Daiki slams Obsessed into the wall, but I just don't see him fending this off. And I think Yo Joke gets out just because he abandoned his top laner.
Yeah, a lot of things happening here. You can tell they were trying to at least get something back directly after that play in the bottom side of the map, but they end up giving too much in return, chasing a bit too far. These things need to be set up. They can't be a reaction to the fact that there was something happening on the bottom side of the map. You need to take into account, hey, everyone's bot here. We've had this preset. Now is the time to push it. Not, they're all at the bottom of the side. Let's see if we can get a gank here. In the process of doing that there, Goblitz, as you mentioned, was able to get away. He didn't even use the flash as well, and was able to get some assistance kill in response to that as well. As you can see, Obsessed just basically said, hey, at the top side of the map, I'm going to make my way in as well. Basically, Goblitz had already done all the hard work, and it was just him playing janitor duty directly afterwards.
Yeah, and now the jugglers are going to be duking it out here. It was picked up by Yo, but he's not winning this fight whatsoever, but he doesn't have a choice! Oh, what a combo coming through there, and well, I mean, we talked about how important, and give us a second, actually, Snow is having backup, and this could probably come from Rage Rider, who is just taking a hammering coming through there, even flashing to stay safe. But what I was trying to say, Mendrix, is that we talked about the importance of this job and doing well. Well, never mind, actually, Xanad is feeling confident for another trade. Can they let me talk for 2 seconds, please?
No, they have to win this game. Come on, Midnight. Why have to be so greedy all the time? Why do you even have to use your lungs, please? Never mind this. Look, they're looking to perhaps jump again. And just really keeping them off all of it. And look at this amount of control they've managed to build in this bottom side of the map to make sure they can get the next dragon. This is what I'm talking about, that idea of, you know what, it's completely fine if you're not in a position to take the dragon. Give it up, make sure that you're going to be strong enough for the next time around. And this is exactly what they've done. You see them managed to establish themselves this massive gold lead. Now that they're in control, they're able to use that to get control of the map, and then that begins to translate into the objectives directly afterwards. And then we are going to be having an Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, Infernal Dragon here, and you got to be really happy for both sides, honestly. If you're the one that secures the Infernal Dragon, brilliant. If not, that's a bit more on the rough side of things. But with one dragon shared apiece between these two teams, it does, in theory, it gives both teams equal opportunity to contest the objective and have themselves the Infernal Soul. But there's a bit of a difference, Mendrix, between these two teams right now. I think actually technically 5,000 bit of a difference between these two teams, which is the gold difference that these is sitting right now in Botany Downs. And if you actually do take a look at where that gold is situated, well, a solid 2,000's in the bot lane, which is a little bit of a problem. And then another 2,000 is between our two junglers here. So this Jarvan has definitely done its early game job.
Oh, absolutely. And again, all of it comes off the back of him really taking advantage. Oh, Obsess is going in again.
Yeah, you gotta force that fight, baby. That's how this works. As a beautiful Black Shield denies the ultimate there, coming through there. As now Obsessed force a flash safety. Danny is a little bit overstaying their welcome, but there is backup if that stopwatch can buy the time. It looks like they will. And now the reinforcements have arrived. The Moonlight Vigil goes a little bit on the wider side of things, but at the end of the day, it does not matter. With Botany Downs winning the fight convincingly. De La Salle, however, are not wanting to give this up just yet, but I don't feel like they've got much of a choice in the matter. They almost lose their jungler just for the scrap around, and low health bars across the board, but Botany Downs are the victors in that fight.
And I really want to talk about how the communication from Botany Downs there really allowed them to take control of that. There was a moment in time that Godblitz and Daiki were about to start a fight, and Godblitz is more than happy to continue on that scrap. But his team said, hey, I can see where Graves is. He's in that river at the moment. We can take control of this blue side or this river blue side here if you move now. There was no hesitation from Godblitz. He made the move down. That allowed them to get control of the river, which then allowed Obsessed to then move in towards that blue buff, take that away, continue to get rid of those resources, which forced that scrap that happened there as well. Yeah, it wasn't as good as you wanted to be because there was a little bit of delay for the rest of the team to come up afterwards, but Obsessed was able to survive. They were able to get a kill off the back of it and continue to stamp control in this game, making this goal lead at least 6k afterwards. So everything's looking really good here at the moment for Botany Downs, and it's going to be a rough comeback in this specific game for De La Salle.
Yeah, it's a bit of an uphill battle here for the team so far, but it's not like they haven't got the tools to do it, right? They've got great, pick potential with the likes of the Ashe and the Braum. I always think that's really essential in why Ashe is coming back, is even if you're behind a little bit, you can absolutely find a way to recover the game state. So I really want to see 200 Years utilizing that Enchanted Crystal Arrow with the rest of the team, goon squatting someone, beat them up, take their lunch money, something along those lines. I think would really benefit the team in this current state, because if the game continues as it is, with, Obsess picking the fights on the Jarvan, with Obsess starting the fights on the Jarvan, unfortunately, he who strikes first typically ends up winning in a match of League of Legends.
They're pretty much using Han Solo's reference from that movie. You got to shoot first, right? That's really the case that comes down to it. Now, another thing I want to take into account and highlight the team compositions here. They typically have everything that you'd want in a team composition. They've got a form of initiation, they have a form of front line, they've got a back line, they've got some decent CC, basically built everything, and they've got wave clear, which is the real important factor here for De La Salle. They've got wave clear in Xanad and of course in 200 Years, which means that if they are going to be put into a siege situation where they need to buy time to get enough gold to get this effectively, they should be able to clear everything out here. But as you can see right now, Botany Downs, they're not letting them have any of it as Shelly's been respawned.
Why would you? You need to keep the pressure on here if you are Botany Downs. You do not want to give any opportunity for your opponents to get back into this game here. So break that middle turret there, shatter it down. And now, De La Salle have no safety net. There is no easy way to contest this dragon that is spawning in less than a minute, hell, less than 30 seconds, if there is no mid turret for you to retreat to. So now, what do you do here as De La Salle? Well, apparently you pick a fight in the top lane as Godblitz takes an absolute hammering, but doesn't drop.
Yeah, once again, Daiki is continuing to choose these fights underneath the turret, underneath the tower in this case. So Godblitz is like, okay, I'm not gonna fight. I'm just gonna walk away. There's no point me doing really anything at this point in time. He's already bruised me down low enough that if I choose to take a scrap, I'm gonna actually lose in this case. So he's gonna just back away wisely, and here comes the arrow.
Yeah, taking that pick off, and this is exactly what they need to do here. A beautiful pick, and this is exactly what they have to do, man. Just we talked about it before. Ashe is so good at getting back into the game. Well, hell, that's the first step forwards.
Yeah, and this is exactly why you bring Ashe as well. Why she's still a contested meta pick, but here comes another fight for this dragon.
Yeah, TP coming through as well. De La Salle are not interested in giving up the objective, and they will take it for themselves here. All on the back of the pick onto the enemy AD carry there. What a brilliant move from this team, and what a sign of life.
Well, speaking of which, we do have a little bit of a pause here as well, which is unfortunate, but all good in that sense. Now, I do want to take into account what we were talking about, that idea of, hey, how important is this Ashe in terms of getting that pick? And like you said, it is what allowed them to really win out on that objective there, because, of course, still have the Aphelios still dead at this point in time. No real chance to get back into that team fight to actually protect and deal with the dragon. That means when they force the TP to basically say, hey, we're putting all of our eggs into this basket, this is going to be our dragon. Yeah, well, even if Goblitz was to follow through with a return TP as well, it's still going to be a 4-on-5. You're still missing one of your biggest damage dealers as well, again, who has roughly a 50 CS lead on this Ashe. So that means that you are losing a lot of your firepower that your team has built up over the past 19 minutes of the game. And that means that you really just don't want to deal with it. You can have this dragon, and we'll give it away in this time. Very wise decision coming across there from Botany Downs to just let DLSL have that one, because that pick from the Ashe was really that's so important. Another key point that I want to point out there is, hey, 50 CS down here on 200 years, and this guy is still relevant at 20 minutes in the game purely because of how good that kit is for the Ashe ult.
Exactly, and that's the joy, right, of a utility-based carry. It's not, hey, I'm only useful when I do damage. It's, hey, I can provide a lot to the team, and I do damage, right? And that's the joy of the likes of the Ashe. Hell, that's why Ashe Sivir are relatively popular AD carries. Maybe not Sivir right now, but still relatively popular AD carries, because even if you're 0-5, you can still provide something to the team. And well, there are some games where that is necessary, and hell, this is one of them here, as it's still a 2,500 difference in terms of gold value between the two AD carries. Yet the Ashe was invaluable in securing the second dragon for De La Salle.
Yeah, I couldn't put it any better myself as well, and it just means that, of course, that Botany Downs needs to be a little bit more careful when it comes to these engages. It is at that point in the game, roughly I'd say, hey, 20 minutes or at least 18 minutes in, you need to start looking after your ADC, making sure they're good position, and this is definitely an overzealous move here by Botany Downs. Let's see how it plays out.
I'm not so sure on this one, Mandrix. It's going to be a hell of a fight that will break out. It will go in. They come to the Cuckoo's and Malta. The bomb comes through on the back end of that one, but the Aphelios dies on. Daike gets a beautiful engage there. Low health bars across the board, but there's no follow-up damage. They just don't have the damage, Mandrix. They're getting torn asunder, torn apart. And De La Salle, they managed to get their opponents low, but unfortunately, they just did not have the damage to secure the kills.
Yeah, they absolutely understood that they had the firepower to really deal with the team, even with them being the ones starting up the Baron, getting a little bit of that MR and armor shred that, of course, that it spews forth from Nasha. One of the beautiful things that I really saw there is the way that Obsessed looked to engage that team fight. You can see the moment he was able to trap at least 3 members in, he just pulled the trigger and went right in. I was a bit worried about Snowblue at the start of that, because he was actually left in the Baron pit alone, taking some damage, even with a little bit of focus from the side of De La Salle as well. They even tried to jump onto him, but immediately this guy, Fearless, realizes he had enough of those chakrams in place, immediately flashes on, deals with the backline, the big priority threats, and really continues to seize up what happens to be for the team there. So really good communication come across there from Botany Downs, and it makes sense why they seem to be one of the teams up here in the finals.
Yeah, and it's a really good sign. Signs of, like, it's still heartbreaking here if you're on the side of De La Salle, because the fight itself didn't look tragically bad at the start, right? You got some good damage down. Daike got a really good haymaker to shred down the health bars, but unfortunately, you just lacked the damage output in order to take the rest of it. Yo got jumped on. Vic again jumped on. Jesus, that's illegal! As they lose their mid laner. Hell, they might lose their AD carry in one hit, but Snow gets out with the skin of their damn teeth.
Yeah, good TP from Goblitz just to make sure that he's going to be keeping the rest of his teammates alive here. Danny is trying to find 300 years, but it's going to go a bit short there. And you can see, again, one of those scenarios of whoever strikes first typically will be having a bit of the victor there. We'll have that as an advantage. You can see they brought most of their members down, and Daike on the top side is just continuing to deal with the infrastructure there. So this is a really good return coming across here from De La Salle. Like you said, those signs of life that we need to see, because they're slowing down the pressure of this Baron. They've managed to pick up a kill. They're still getting infrastructure around the map. And if they continue to hold this game out for at least another, say, 15 minutes, they can put themselves back onto a bit of an even footing for the rest of the team here and make this a much more competitive match.
Yeah, well, so far they also have Daike pushing in the top lane. Just try and get some pressure around, which I do quite love as an engage comes through there, but Yo does immediately get out, and of course oh boy. That's a bit of an oopsies.
Yeah, Daike not respecting the damage there. He's been building this entire time to deal with Goblitz, and Dilma has a number of ability power damage abilities on the side of it, so probably not taking into account that relative effect, how much damage the Ziggs can actually output when he really wants to put his mind to it, and just not respecting the fact that this is a Ziggs that's currently 2-1-8, has really, hasn't had the biggest impact in the map in terms of high levels of kills, but has a big impact by throwing those bombs out to bruise out those members, gets a number of assists at the back of it, and that of course has been putting a little bit of extra gold into his back pocket. So Daiki really just misstepping there for his team, and does put them back in a bit of a back foot here, giving a little bit of pressure back for the rest of Botany Downs that really they just don't need at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Botany Downs are already in a pretty dominant position here, Medrix. They've surpassed the mark, which means that pretty much with that 10k gold advantage that they have over their opponents, it should be a arduous journey for De La Salle to recover this game state, if it is possible at all here. And well, with the next objective spawned up, it is going to be the dragon. Obviously, that has started, and Yo is just getting torn apart there. No other assists, a straight up solo kill by Snow.
Yeah, and then even threw the bomb in for good measure. Just add a little bit here. I mean, we should see if what Zenit does here. I don't think he's going to be able to get this, but this is huge, right? That wasn't even a matter of we've decided to put together a particular team, and they had the wards in place, realized what needed to do. Snow just walked up and said, "I'm going to kill you. That's what's going to happen." And we saw before, you're so keeping it a little bit illegal. That feels a bit illegal for Snow Blue as well.
It's a rough situation. It's now De La Salle. They're going to have their inhibitor line broken through. Obsesto a little bit early on the engage, perhaps, does force the flash to get out to safety as the turret falls. And now you can start looking for that fight. Their 200 years stuck on the front line will be forced to flash. The Moonlight Vigil comes out for the chakrams, and this means that Snowy... Oh, Snowy's dead! Never mind, Daike's had enough of this stuff. He's going to cut them down. Will pick up multiple kills before going down themselves with 200 years late for the next one there. But Goblins is there with Tyler T as well, and there is not enough, I should say, healing reduction from the side of Yo is safe under his turret. That was actually a brilliant turnaround though. De La Salle, again, 10,000 gold down. Yes, they lose the fight. Yes, they lose the inhibitor, but they went even. Relatively,
yeah. I think the big thing here is that we get to see the effect of set when there is an ability to make a turnaround happen. Again, you put that damage into him, he will throw it back at you with twice the amount of vigor. And that really is the comeback mechanic of Set. The fact that he can completely change team fights and also change the games. That's the effect that you saw there. If things just went a little bit more in the favor of the De La Salle Knights at that point in time, or De La Salle in this case, we would have seen perhaps a completely different effect here. Now they begin to push a little bit further, get rid of all this vision that was put in place here beforehand by Botany Downs, reset up for this Baron, perhaps get a little bit of extra gold back into their pocket to be a bit more competitive going forward. Of course, as you can see, it's pretty hard to overcome a 10k plus gold lead, so of course, does mean that Botany Downs was able to come on top there, but now that means, again, Botany Downs can't be as aggressive, can't be as forward, Obsessed went a little bit too early into the engage, like you said before, and if they do misstep with these engages, if they don't actually have the right CC in place on a specifically Daiki in the scenario, they could fall victim to that set re-engage, that set turnaround, and perhaps give up a lot of gold and get themselves back into a point where they're no longer in full control of this game.
Yeah, and that needs to be what is playing on Botany Downs' mind for this game here. It says, okay, let's just make sure we make as few mistakes as possible here. Send Goblins to the bot lane to split push. Send the rest of us to the top lane, push it in, back up for Baron, secure Baron, end game. That needs to be your game plan coming through here, because the longer you drag this game out, Bedrix, the more farm you are feeding to the members of De La Salle. Now, yes, there's a bit of a CS difference between our two marksman players. I think no one's under any other illusion that the Aphelios is a little bit better farmed with 3 fully completed items. But again, Ashe is a utility carry. She's, I wouldn't say fine with it, but vis-a-vis the Ashe, they now know that Baron has been started, and they're not even going to try and contest. There's no chance of the fight here, and say, look, just take it, we'll fight you another time.
Yeah, they're in no position to look at this engage. You can really see that well and truly the work was put in by Botany Downs to make sure that they had no chance. All lanes fully pushed. Look at that vision control in that that top side blue jungle there. That is completely no chance for them to make their way through without being noticed as well. There was a very safe Baron that they could have taken there. And as you can see now, immediately they're backing away, consolidating that gold advantage, buying out the last of their 4-piece items, or at least getting, to the finishing of those other big thresholds that allow them to push through. And now they're taking it that little bit careful, or that little bit more careful with the steps that come into it. Now with the Baron also underneath their belt, that siege pressure coming through not only from the Ziggs, but also, of course, from Snow, Blue, and Danny is really going to be hard to deal with. And as you can see, Goblitz has that teleport underneath his belt as well. That's going to be another utility factor to come into play here. Makes perfect sense. Let's just push out the rest of it. Snow Blue, maybe a little bit too far forward. I really would prefer them just to push out this mid lane, then rotate towards the top, continue to let Godblitz just sit back here, rather than trying to keep on pushing in this mid lane the entire time.
It looks like they are just sort of setting a whole 1-3-1 here, and courtesy of the Baron, they're just going to hard push it as Snow is really testing the limits of how far they can walk up here. Now, they will rotate to one of the side lanes here. Will be the bot lane to start with, so obviously Dilmati is not present for this, but they have the ultimate, so they should work just fine. It's actually divided here. Obsessed starting into the back line, okay, tanking up 4 members of the fight there, but finally Decade falls, and the rest of the team will fall with him here. De La Salle fighting like hell in this first game of Best of 3 series, but it just doesn't matter how well they fought. They fell behind early, and Botany Downs will be claiming the first match of our Best of 3 here, Mendrix. Hell, it kind of feels like deja vu, or not really actually, as De La Salle fall to Botany Downs once again.
Yeah, and pretty impressive play off the back of it as well. You can really see the way that they set it up and the way they chose to do it. I had a little bit of doubts about that 1-3-1, the way that was pushed into it, but as you can see there wasn't really an advantage taken from De La Salle Knights to try and actually single out one of those members, whether it was going to be the 3, the 1, or the 1, and decided to actually just let them continue to roach through. They couldn't really find an opportunity to get in, and then when it all came together, the fact that Dilma was able to be the one alone, continued to push through that top side of the map, and then use the bomb to land a 4-person bomb with that ultimate drop outwards that completely, at that point in time, completely bruised up the team fight. So even though they were managing to take down Obsess, there was a nice, easy return kill coming through across from Botany Downs in that team fight. They're able to completely clean up from that point, and that was definitely a convincing first game win.
Yeah, and good looking there and driving from the front line is going to be our MVP for the first match here. It will be Obsess on the job in here, doing exactly what you need to do on this champion, right? Got the early game advantages, sort of grabbed the lead, and then carried his team over that line. Again, this is just what you have to do on the job, and every single time you lock it in. Perform well in the early game, carry your team over the finish line, and then you can take a nap. And I think Obsess did that brilliantly.
Yeah, Obsessed definitely did. He was also one of the key engagers for the rest of the team, so it makes perfect sense that this guy would actually be coming across to actually be, one of the members that I'd be looking at for the rest of the series as well. Really do hope that this continues to be the case. Most likely, we're probably not going to see the Java though for the rest of the series. If I was this team here, I'd definitely get rid of it because Obsessed just looks so good on that J4. His ability to just pick engages and take them happen, it really allowed them. Yes, he didn't have that level 2 gank, but the follow through level 6, level 8, the fact that he was able to take into account, watch their cooldowns, and then force the team fights around them, that's what a chess master needs to be. That's what a jungler needs to be. So really good play there by Obsess.
Yeah, and a good showing here for Botany Downs. As of course, in the best of 3 series, Magic, there is always time for adaptation and recovery. And we'll see if De La Salle is capable of doing that. But guys, we're going to a short break. When we come back, game number 2 here over at the Meta HSE Championship rounds. Will De La Salle be able to recover the game and go to a game 3, or is Botany Downs just built that differently? And will they move on to the next stage? Guys, do not go anywhere, as the second game of our best of 3 series will be kicking off shortly. and welcome back, everyone, to Meta HSE. I'm still Midnight, still with Mendrix for our second game of the day, and it should be quite a fun one. Mendrix, obviously, our first match of our best of three did go in Botany Down's favor in a pretty
Mhm.
convincing fashion, I think it's fair to say, coming through here. And
Yeah.
now there is a chance for redemption. De La Salle, if they don't win this, unfortunately, it's good night. And well, with the change of sides coming into our second game of the match, maybe this is what they need to do because so far, De La Salle haven't exactly got a great track record up against Botany Downs.
Yeah, it really seems that at this moment in time, the Botany Downs is the kryptonite for De La Salle. They don't really have a way to deal with their particular play style, the way they move around the map. They start a little bit slow, and then from there, they just start to build around that 8-minute mark. So it's pretty damn effective what Botany Downs are able to do. Like I said, I'd love to see something a little bit more out there in terms of their picks, a bit of deviation, for example, taking advantage of perhaps a little bit of like world globals, find a way to mix a Pantheon, Twisted Fate, or perhaps even a Galleon to mix, maybe even a Carthus. I really think that's something that can definitely help you out because that's something specifically when I look at it that Botany Downs has been using to great effect. They banned away the Galio, they picked up the Ziggs, still gave it to Dilma, and then Dilma's just had such good map control or map vision, I could say, throughout the game that he was still there raking up assists throughout. And of course, that's something that's like this invisible power that you don't really take into account throughout the game, which ends up having a massive impact considering they did get the win.
Yeah, and I wonder, coming into the second game here, the banning strategies. Now, do you just ban what beat you from the side of De La Salle?
Mhm.
Or do you commit to the bans that you did commit to previously and maybe take out one thing? Now, the thing that we
Yeah.
did theorize earlier was the Jarvan. Is that really worth getting rid of from Obsessor's hands? I personally am not so sure. Yes, it did well, but I still don't think Jarvan is worth throwing a ban at.
And this is the thing that makes it so dangerous, right? It's not really worth that ban, but the thing is that Obsess just seems to be so proficient on that champion that it is when it is in his hands, he's able to just do some pretty crazy things. And of course,
Mm,
that means, maybe throwing him a little bit off kilter might be the way of the effect. As we can see, beginning to, plan things around a little bit. We have seen a little bit of deviation. I don't believe the Ezreal was banned in the previous match. Ezreal's definitely very good on the red side because you are able to poke from Baron. So I think that's a little bit interesting that it's being banned away there by De La Salle. But I guess they must have a bigger strategy here. Of course, you have to take into account some of the players on the flip side of things. They're not particularly in order this time around, but we're probably expecting them to just think, hey, what is actually going to be the things that
yeah.
they're very good on. And we can see already that they have decided to make one deviation. They thought it's not really obsessed with the J4. Maybe it's more along that Ziggs. And I can understand. I had that discussion beforehand with you. That idea that that's invisible power, that global
Mm.
presence of the ultimate is doing a lot of work. And again, it's something that you don't really see or feel until you realize you've lost the game.
Yeah, and the stealing away of the Aphelios, I do quite like here. 200 years, obviously quite proficient on that champion. Will they just respond with the Ash? I wonder. It'll be very interesting to see if they're willing to go for that matchup again. Obviously, the other things we do get to see at Mendrix is the volley bear. Now, Daiki has got a pretty damn scary volley bear, I think it's fair to say. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you match up into the likes of the volley bear here? Because you
Looks,
haven't banned the
looks
Camille.
like it's a Volibear jungle. You didn't ban the Camille.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say Volibear is great into Camille, but I suppose you don't have to worry about having the counter matchup if you just take both sides of the matchup.
Yeah, that's one way to really take a big advantage of the fact that you've got two picks on that red side directly afterwards. You can get some priority picks, some priority comfort picks, I guess you could say for you there, because we have seen Yoshiki on the Volibear perform extremely well again. We are seeing the pickup once again of the J4. I'm not sure why we've got. Why don't we just let Obsess pick it for himself? I'm just a bit confused on that
Nah,
particular one, but
you gotta flex,
I
dude. You
guess
gotta.
maybe I think they're just thinking it through. They probably thought, let's just grab, like, we need a bit of extra time to think this through. Let's just grab the J4 and we can really think about what's going to be our next pick there, if I had to take something into account. But yeah, the Camille pick up here. Again, we know Daiki really loves the Camille. It was banned away from him in the previous matchup beforehand. And that is definitely one way to deal with Camille. You can grab the Malphite, does an effective job against it. Of course, Camille does still scale pretty damn well into late game with that true
Hmm.
damage. You can handle the Malphite. But when I look at the impact and what this means for actually limiting Camille in that early game, I believe that's definitely a good choice.
Yeah, and it does mean that if there is a split push coming out from the Camille in the later stages of the game, the Malphite isn't going to win the matchup, but they'll survive the matchup. And that's kind of all you really need from the tank, because you get to the team fights, Malphite presses up, knocks several people up, and it doesn't matter if Malphite is 0-10 or 5-2 at that
Yeah.
point. You get knock up is just set up for the rest of your team. So I do quite like the Malphite here in the losing matchup.
Yeah.
But the Vayne, I'm very taken aback by not what I was expecting to see today. I know Vayne has started
Yeah.
to rise up in popularity, but that was more as an answer to the Zig so you could duck under the bombs.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that. Perhaps, 200 years to say, you know what, I'd like to use it against the Aphelios. I feel like I would have a pretty good play. I would be expecting something along the lines of a Lulu to be paired with it. That's definitely the type of champion that can definitely do a lot of work with the Vayne. Vayne very self-peeled, very mobile, doesn't need to have a nice beefy front line for it. Where the Enchanter comes into play can be really effective here. So considering we are now in that second ban phase, I'd love to see that taken away. And then if not, definitely picked in return. And the Orianna, I've loved this ban as well. They've really been taking into account what they don't have at the moment. They've got a fantastic engage tool in both the J4 and the Malphite. There's a perfect ball delivery systems. They don't have that much wave clear at the moment. That's something that Orianna really does bring to the whole team. So let's get rid of that specific option. On the flip side as well, they said, hey, what's something that they're missing here? They're missing that assassination potential, someone that can really bruise a team before a team fight begins. LeBlanc being taken off the board here. So both these teams definitely thinking through what they need to take away, what that needs to be pinched and taken out of control here. That Lulu wasn't banned away. I'd really love to see it get picked up now.
Yeah, I mean, with the likes of the Vayne, I'm absolutely for it there. I prefer these defensive enchanters, and there it is. Rage Rider picks up that Lulu. Then that should put 200 years in a brilliant position to stay safe. And I wonder what the answer is going to be here. Are you going to look? Well, I was going to say, are you going to look for the Morgana? But Morgana's off the table this time. Are you going to look for another one of these enchanter-based supports, knowing that you're dealing with Lulu? And well,
yeah, I like that pick. Now I was going to say it was either going to be. I was going to say it was either going to be the owner of the Nautilus, is what I was about to say, and then they beat me to it with that initial pick. So that makes perfect sense. The Casio, though, very interesting.
yeah,
Because
not
you
what I was
can
expecting.
you can counterpick you can look for a counterpick on the cash, just get someone a little bit of extra range in the back of it. I mean, look, Xerath not really something that's meta at the moment, so it's gonna be interesting to see what Zen is choicey. You can obviously look for assassins as a way to deal with the Cassiopeia. Of course, she does have that grounding ability to stop them from having a little bit of effect into it, but once again, just continue to stick with the karma here, and it's definitely looking like it's going to be a protect 200 years composition with a double utility support coming into play. Plus, of course, gives them a little bit of extra wave clear in that later stages of the game, something they're definitely going to need to make sure they round out this team.
Yeah, and I actually don't mind the karma here as long as Xanid builds karma with damage. And I didn't hop on it last game because Xanid I did think did quite a nice build there. It was a Luden's Echo into it. So I'm like, yep, that's fine. So many people will play karma, and you saw this when Lulu top lane was making the rounds a couple months ago,
You get them instant
where
renewer.
you just build you build like a support. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you're
I
not.
mean, I'd be okay with that.
But I'm not, Mendrix.
Why wouldn't you be okay with that?
Okay, here's my logic out. You are playing a champion that, yes, you are acting in the role of a support. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
Karma in this position isn't a protection, an additional shield for the Vayne. But what I am saying is Karma is your only AP wave clear. Hell, it's your only real effective long range wave clear. And instead of having any damage to wave clear, instead of adding that little extra oomph for the fights and making those shields bigger, you're taking movement speed, which is already in your kit because you're Karma with a smooth speed steroid on the shield. Like, I really dislike when you have these, yes, enchanter mages, but you build them in the mid lane as supports. So I really hope that Xanath commits to the build that he built last time.
I think one thing we really need to take into account here is both of the major damage dealers on the side here of Dealer Sale have true damage.
Hmm.
So even though they're both AD, you don't necessarily need to have the item truck come into play. You don't need to have someone who's got a major AP pool as well. I mean, Mind Your Karma will probably still do a decent amount of AP damage, and you can sort of begin to build into it to the later stages of the game when the wave clear is needed. So I imagine if Karma could still go for that support sort of build early, then build into the spell penetration, of course, a little bit of extra ability power to boot, just to sort of clear those waves a little bit later. I still think Karma has the ability to do so without sacrificing that extra utility that you can pick up, as well as the fact that this is really good into the Volibear. If the Volibear does go for an amazing engage where everyone's like, hey, we need to focus this Volibear down, is going to have the Lulu to pop the Wild Growth into, is going to have the shield coming through from Karma at the same time, is going to have all these extra little shields and buffs that comes into it, that if they do decide to focus the Volibear, it's probably going to be a real bad time. I think the big linchpin here that's going to be for Botany Downs, that is just really going to turn this game and make it extremely difficult for De La Salle to actually excel, is this Malphite. Because the Malphite is going to be able to slow the attack speed of not just the Vayne, but also the Camille at the same time. So if he's able to get that cross into the play, Vayne's ability to really be that hyper carry is basically cut in half for a good 5 seconds. And we know that can be the deciding factor in a team fight. Same for Camille as well. It is so frustrating to try to get your empowered kickoff and you just can't do it because your auto attack isn't going to come off. I have played a bit of Camille into Malphite and it is frustrating, believe me, in that sense. So there's definitely a few things there that's going to be coming into it. And I'm really going to be looking at God Blitz here to make sure that he does do those what's expected of him. Not only is it going to be these big engages, and they've got some pretty damn strong engage. I'm looking at it. I mean, if Felios can go for the setup, Cassiopeia can join into the fight, but J4, Malphite, Leona, that is a blender I don't want to go into. I don't think you're coming out. You're definitely going to be a clean smoothie if it ends up landing on at least 3 to 4 members.
Well, we'll find out there as we are going to get into our second game here of our best of 3 De La Salle with a composition that in theory can do rather well, but they're going to have to execute it. And Botany Downs charging headfirst at the problem and seeing what will stick to the wall. Guys, do not go anywhere. Game number 2 of our first best of 3 tonight is about to kick off, and we'll find out, will De La Salle be able to get revenge, or will they just have to go home empty-handed? Guys, don't go anywhere. And game number 2 is about to kick off, everybody. And this is the time to find out, will Botany Downs be making that next step forwards and facing off against Mansfield State High School, the Queensland representative, or will it be De La Salle recovering game number 2 and making their next step forwards to see if they will be the team to find out, Mendrix? There's only one way to find out, and that will be in the next, probably about 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I probably am looking for this to be 40 minutes. I'm looking at these team compositions, and I really don't want there to be any major level 1 invades. I mean, if any team could really force it right now, it would be De La Salle. Of course, Danny has the ability to just jump in there and make something happen if that ends up being the case. So really looking at that, being thinking, I think I'm saying that a little bit wrong there. I should be the other way around. Botany Downs are the ones that can actually force that one out because, of course, they do have that Leona available on that side of there. But just need to take into account these guys are swapped sides now. It's no longer what it was in the case before. But again, as you can see, they're just looking to maintain control of their entrances, putting those wards down in the river to understand perhaps what was going to be the pathing of these junglers when they do come to account. That's what they're going to look to see and who ends up picking it up. And from there, that's probably when the game's going to be decided, I guess you could say, in terms of these jungle paths always being important as time goes on. And It is going to be, of course, a blue start here, probably by the looks of things here for Yoseki. Or, of course, on the flip side of things, Obsessed looking to do the exact same start that he had before. Probably going to go red into Raptors and then follow through with a blue buff. Perhaps look for a gank afterwards.
Yeah, and I wonder how impactful Obsessed is going to be, because obviously game number 1, hell, we even put Obsessed as our MVP for that match because it was just so critical that he did well in the early game and used that lead to carry his team over that first step of the line. Now, I wonder, will there be any early shenanigans? And already, Obsessed is powering. Where's Obsessed going? Is he going for a level 2 bot lane gank?
He's going for a level 2 gank. Loving it.
Oh my god.
This is
Danny has flash, goes in, but it's way too early. Obsessed is nowhere nearby. And a flash from Rage Rider immediately get the hell out of dodge. And I almost want to say that's overly aggressive, but they still got Rage's flash.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they did, of course, force the flash out of Danny in the process to make it work. But Danny, with that Hex Tech flash, isn't really as valuable, of course, as it's going to be for Rage Riders. So that's something I would really want to take into account here, because, of course, Rage Rider doesn't have the Hex Tech to play here. Is relatively more squishy as well. So probably expected to be a return gank here. Now it's really going to be on Yoseki to understand, hey, he's late to the mark here. I could possibly look to jump down and maybe pick up this blue buff in return. And as you can see, he is being very aggressive with that pathing down. Might actually look to jump into that jungle as well, especially perhaps through Dilma if possible.
Yeah, but I kind of like the idea that you can see that early move as Xanid taking an absolute hammering in the middle lane there. And unfortunately, Yoseki not going for an early enough invade. I don't feel like it's going to be fast enough to catch out Obsessed, who is doing, of course, red, blue, and Gromp. But now they will find him on the Gromp there. The smite is available, but might not be matter as the flash isn't even going to be able to be used in time.
And that's the punishment for J4 looking for that level 2 gank and it not happening. You lose just so much tempo in the wave clear. You completely choreograph where you are on the map. And that is actually going to be the punishment. Very well coordinated here by Salle to actually get that kill back. And this is excellent for them to set up for what perhaps should be a good mid game. And they're jumping on Dilma now.
Yeah, but they might be able to turn this one around. One more hit onto Xanid will do it there, but not able to get it. The poison. Bernie gets the kill, actually, on the back end of the poison. And now Obsessed with the counter gank. Buzz is going to just nuke down Yo and says, thank you very much for my red buff.
Oh, everything coming through the mid lane. Dilma playing that perfectly. Not only being able to pick up the kill, flashing away from the Volibear to then get the kill directly afterwards. And there's still more action happening in the bot lane.
Yeah, Danny looking for 200 years. They're not, however, able to land the Zenith Blade and will be forced to back away theirs. Okay, so I like how we talked about this is the game where we don't expect any early game shenanigans. And
it's an early game shenanigans.
It's full of exactly early game shenanigans.
Oh, God bless. That's a very nice dodge there.
Yeah, a nice dodge there, but unfortunately, something that is going to hurt God's Blitz is the selection of runes here. And going for that Comet, personally, I'm not sold on. I still feel like even in a matchup where, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of grass procs.
Are you sure?
Yeah, okay, just as I talk about the Caster Curse. But I feel like, again, laning phase is going to be nice, but what happens when Camille gets 2 items? The poke damage on the Comet just is going to be so irrelevant.
I think it's still a good effect to actually put yourself in and keep you in a good spot in the game. You can see that was a Camille with double buff. Red and blue, and Goblets just forced him out. That just shows you the power of that early Comet start. Very hard to deal with. Daiki, of course, picking up the Sheen, now has the ability to just sort of go, you know what, I'm just going to go all in on you in this case. If you do decide to go for a team fight, needs to do it relatively healthy. You kind of have about a 1 minute window to force that all in against a Comet Malphite. Otherwise, he will just chip you down time and time again with, of course, that Q, just throwing it out there. And another thing that sort of hurt Daiki a little bit into this is the fact that he actually did opt in for the Doran's Blade instead of Doran's Shield. Typically, when you go up against a Comet Malphite, you should be opting in for the Doran's Shield purely because he will be just throwing that down to you. So it was very good that Daiki was able to pick up that early kill. Probably did save him to actually have this lane advantage now. But of course, as you can see, Goblets is immediately starting on again. And again, Daiki needs to get that auto attack to get the shield here. Here we go. He's jumping on now.
Yeah, level 6. Haven has the ultimatum if needed, but not going to use it just yet. Obviously, does not want to go under the turret. Has good damage, a good CS lead, and is just going to continue to utilize that in the top half of the map here. And Goblets, the worst part,
Oh.
never mind, in the middle lane, we're seeing basically an all-in as Xanad taking an absolute hammering, but Danny doesn't have the damage, and Dilmati was just a little bit too far back.
I like the thought process there. You can definitely see the effect of having that Hextech Flash. It's just catching members off guard here as well. Snow Blue, though.
What is Snow doing here? I'm not sure he wins this fight, but in full
baited.
But Sam's is back up there, so is Rage Rider. But with the Graviton tag will go down. Courtesy of the back up there, Rage Rider.
Calculated.
I'm not sure I would use the word. Not sure I would use the word calculated there, man.
No. He knew for a fact if he let himself get condemned into the wall, 200 years would overcommit, and then he'd have the rest of his team in the back. No, honestly, I think that was a bit of a misstep there. He probably would have been happy to hold on to his flash and his TP. In that scenario, not his TP, his flash, and of course his heal. So that's probably a little bit of a misstep there by Snow Blue, but of course it does work out for him in the end because he was taking into account where his team members were on the map.
Yeah, did have the backup from his jungler, Obsessed, as well as Danny, obviously. So got to be happy with that one there. As we're seeing the continual story of what happens when a unstoppable force of the Camille meets a somewhat movable object of the Malphite, but actually the corrupting potion is making this matchup a bit more difficult for Daike. The Doran's blade damage is nice, but unfortunately, well, you need to be hitting the enemy in order to make it a worthwhile investment here. And Daike getting probably more worse than what he is giving in these situations. So
yeah, the Malphite is just such a rough person to deal with, especially when you are a Bruiser top laner, because he will just continue to use Snow Blue. So they're taking down low there. Nice healing courtesy of his Severum there. And now TP coming in from the backside. Doesn't mean the is in trouble there. It's a double TP to boot. What an ambush. The Goon Squad to get the kill down there in 200 years. They will lose Snow, but what a... what a commitment. Oh, I love that communication that has been demonstrated by Botany Ions time and time again. These guys don't hesitate when it comes to the play, and it has been really benefiting them throughout not only this tournament, but also the series. As you can see here, they are up to a nice good start here. They've managed to pick up a bit of a gold lead. They've also got the Dragon here under their feet as well. So they are looking to be in a good spot here. I want to get back to how annoying it is to verse Malphite in lane. What typically the Malphite will do is using the corrupting pots and of course comment, throw that Q out. It is a point-and-click Q. You cannot avoid it in any particular way, especially with Camille. The only real way that you do get the shielding off when you are looking for those trades is to land an auto attack. And of course, it is a ranged ability being used by the Malphite here. So he's pretty much guaranteed to get that damage onto you. Typically, what the Malphite will look to do is just will you down until you're at a particular point when he can just ult or in you and then get the kill directly afterwards. So it's just a matter of him finding that threshold between it. That's the real weakness of Daike at the moment. Doesn't have any defensive items built. Finally has that Null Magic Mantle into play here as well. So that means that finally he's starting to get a little bit of defense. But Goblets will still be relevant for probably the next 5 minutes until he manages to get a little bit more magic resistance underneath his belt, whether it's through levels and HP, and basically be able to deal with the base damage that comes with that.
And that's sort of the frustrating part for Daike is he wants to play aggro, but needs to be also cautious there up in the top lane. And speaking of that, I do feel like we need to talk about what's going on in the bottom lane here.
Here we go.
Hold up, never mind. Goblets is stuck inside the Hextech automated. Will finally be accessed out. Going to see the flash, but will not be able to get out of here. Surely a couple more hits will do it, but no! Blitz gets out! You're thinking, wait, he flashes for this! Finally gets the chomp down. But that was so much committed for a tank.
Yeah, a lot of it came into play there. You can see the ultimate almost available for Goblets. Really good use of his ability to steal speed in order to get away. They actually did it while Yoseki was charging. So that's why he was a very quick rock. Probably one of the quickest monoliths I've seen that could possibly exist. But of course, like you said, they burnt a lot there to make this work out in the end. Also, at the same time, I feel part of it was because they wanted to really have control somewhere on the map. And of course, it's really nice to have it on Daike. And this is definitely a giant jump.
It's actually not the priority target. The Rage Rider seems to be the one getting the worst end of it as the sea comes out. Finally going on to the Vayne. Will nuke them down. And now Rage Rider is simply an inevitability. But Snow messes up the aggro a little bit. And a bloodthirsty support is the one who comes out with both kills.
It doesn't matter. That fantastic response coming out here from Botany Downs. One of the things I talked about was that idea of looking for responses depending on what your opponents do before. Last time when this happened, it was actually going to be Salle that made that move, and they did theirs a little bit haphazardly. Didn't have any preparation in place, weren't able to take control of the opportunity. In the process of that, around the map, just lost so much control in all of their lanes, weren't able to make something happen. This time around, the ball was actually in the court of Botany Downs, right? Botany Downs were the ones that are actually reacting to the top play or resources that were pumped into God Blitz. And Daiki now looking for a fight here, might actually be able to get something. No, just going to look for the guerrilla warfare tactics to look for a trade. I want to go back to before, but beforehand, you can see the 4-man dive now as a response to all of the resources being used top. That's something that actually comes from the fact that they had the pre-preparation in place there. They had the wards down. They understood how to make the dive work, and then they were able to get something back for the play on the cross side of the map.
Oh, what is Dill? Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, actually, I think Flash then used the ulti. He should have prepped the ulti, then flash there, so there would have actually been no return there from Zenit. Or maybe, I think maybe he did do it. I have to go back and really look at it to see to make sure. And it just happened to be a really unlucky moment where Zenit decided to walk backwards. So it's really hard to do that particular play because you are sort of relying on the opponent to just be facing you when you look to do basically a pre-prepped ultimate into the flash there by Casio.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, but I like the idea. Alright, you've finally gotten your access to your Mimic there, the Riftmaker, which don't play a lot of Casio, but I was well under the impression that it was, you went for the Leandri's Anguish.
No, you get boots, mate. You get boots. Get all the boots.
Get all the boots? Yes. Yes, the outplay button here is seeing Snow taking a battering here, but there's also a clash between the junglers right now as the ultimate from Yo gets them out here, and we're seeing just more and more pressure being lost by the side of De La Salle, losing in the bottom lane, losing in the mid lane, losing in the jungle. The only lane that's going well for them is potentially top lane. But speaking of top lane, Daiki is just getting hammered up here.
He can actually look to ult all in him right now. Yeah, he can. Like, he's waiting for it.
200 damage!
Yeah.
Malphite tier 1 does 200 base damage. I was a Malphite player for over 2 years.
We've been talking about it. I've been talking about it the whole time. Is he just needs to get into a low enough point, and he reached it there. He whittled him down and just did it under tower. Yep, here we go again.
Double Taylor over there for Yo, but that's a tank coming through. 200 years is left untouched in the backline there. Is trapped in the Cataclysm, but I'm not so sure that's a bad thing for the Vayne, as they'll be able to pick up quite a few kills there. Snow, though, fending off the best they can, does have access to all the chakrams there, and is a monster now. Flashes forwards, says, I'll pick me up another one, does get ultimatums, but does have backup, is still alive. 3 kills, 4 kills in the back of Snow, and Rage Rider, the only surviving member. 1 auto will do it, but no! Silver, you thief!
Oh, you could tell he was trying to give it to. It was the poison, the last chick of the poison at the very end there. Snowblue must be staring at his grey screen right now, being like, I died for this? Of all the things to die for. Let's break down the team fight there. So it was a good engage there coming across from Botany Downs to jump onto Yosiki, but we talked about that idea if they do decide to throw the wild growth, shields, pump that all into Yosiki, he can really have a lot of staying power, and it seemed to work there as well. He was a fantastic front line, it bought so much time, they were getting some damage, and members were starting to fall on the side of Botany Downs. But then, when you had the fact that all the chakrams had been built up, Snowblue was doing so much work, was able to finally take it down. 200 years had to dip out of the team fight by jumping over with the blast cone. Of course, was then forced out by Dilma on the return through afterwards, which means that impact wasn't going to be there anymore. And then Daiki with the TP might have had the opportunity to clean up if it wasn't for the response there from Goldblitz. He was able to slow down that damage from Daiki, which means he wasn't able to finish the execute, and we're back into a team fight.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a team fight, maybe more of a bit of a public execution as 200 years Flash condemns their way to safety here, but the shield blow popped instantaneously for the AD carry play. I like the defensive option of the Mythic for Dilma. Now arriving on the bottom side of the map here does force De La Salle to completely retreat. I think they're forced to abandon this turret completely.
Yeah, they do have to get out of here. They've got too many members there. You can see they've really managed to force them out. They've only got the heal and the flash available on Rage Rider, so basically down a summon and return. And I mean, yes, you're down a summoner on the side here, Danny and Snowblue, but they've just got so much damage, especially with how accelerated now
Ooh,
Snowblue is.
wow.
And Daiki's jumping on God Blitz.
Yeah, I mean, he
Has
does have
Xanad.
advantage, but the flash is available. Was used. TP coming through.
Oh, here we go,
Maybe
here we
not
go.
the best position, but the pound comes through there as they will nuke the enemy mid laner there. And, well, that was supposed to be De La Salle's opening. That was supposed to be someone that De La Salle felt confident they could win a fight. And they just got put down.
Yeah, the thing is that it's so hard to kill God Blitz. You can see that the initial burst damage from Daiki does do a good hit to God Blitz in terms of dealing with that HP, but of course he's then able just to use his Q, gain the speed in the process of just walk it around. Xanad was there in return, but as you can see, God Blitz chose to use the flash instead of the ultimate to get away because he had that communication from the rest of the team saying, hold on to the ulti. We want to be able to use it for the ring gauge. In the end, didn't even need to use it, of course, so maybe it would have been better to use the ulti there, but you could really see the turnaround with the TP, with Dilma coming up there. If they needed to have that map out ultimate to lock down the rest of the players and guarantee the kills, it was going to be there. So again, this team really understands that communication, really is a great team of actually finding the best utility for the situation or what needs to be used. And it's happening. It's having an effect around the map. They've got control of bot lane. Both those towers down there. Well, not both those. One of the towers down there. They've managed to also get the top side tower as well. Gold Blitz, who has been sort of beating around from time to time, was at a minion DS deficit at one point in time. Actually had to go up against a member or Daiki, who got a first blood with double butts, has managed to win his lane there. So it really is illustrating how this team plays out this early stages of Vayne and early stages, and why they really are a force to be reckoned with.
And now continuing that aggressive move here. The early Rift Herald picked up. Sorry, no Rift Herald picked up. It's going to be thrown. Oh my lord, they're going in for 200 years there. They have dived on top of the Vayne. The Vayne finally, though, staying alive, and they actually nuked down Obsessed as well. So what a turnaround. Baby has something to do with the fact that Obsessed...
That was no turnaround. That was Obsessed just donating a kill. Let's be honest.
That was Obsessed running it.
Yeah, so Obsessed was like, we can take this, and I think the rest of the team's like, no, I don't think we can. And as you can see, again, Snowblue, though, just doing a lot of damage here as well. And they're jumping again.
But they're outnumbered 5 members as 200 years as it gets slammed into the wall there, and Snow will get taken down alongside Danny. And they saw their jungler do it and said, hey, that looked like fun. I'm gonna do it as well.
Yeah, definitely an overstay here coming across from Botany Downs. Maybe just feeling a little bit too high on the initial wins beforehand. And they do give a lot away. That was a 5-man collapse there. Really well, I guess you could say, identified there by De La Salle, and it's exactly what they needed to get themselves back into the game. Of course, there is no Baron for 1 minute, so unfortunately no major objectives that can pick up off the back of it, but at least it is nice to definitely get some shutdown gold, get a little bit of a gold injection that sets you up to be in a better position when those objectives are available. And those honestly were donations. If I had to really give anything here by Botany Downs there. Again, just riding off that high, not respecting their opponents, and it looks like they do pay a bit of the iron price by giving back some power.
Yeah, give them back some power, give them back some gold now. Only a 4K lead in the favor of Botany Downs, which is a little bit higher earlier, but obviously you make mistakes, and unfortunately, that's just how it be like sometimes when you make those kind of mistakes. So Botany Downs hopefully will be more about, okay, let's just play it smart, play it cool, let's not do that again, as you want to give your opponents as few ways back into the game, because Vayne is going to be an ever-constant problem.
Ticking time bomb, right?
Yeah.
Same effect that Xanad's Kassadin is. You could basically put that as 200 years Vayne, right? Vayne will definitely be a team killer towards the later stages of the game. The fact of the matter is there's basically going to be 3 hits, basically, once that build is completed. So it's something that you really do need to take into account. That hyper carry is going to be available, especially when you've got the Karma, when you've got the Lulu to buff up 200 years. So basically is going to be in the favor of this team to extend it as far as possible. They still do have a fantastic engage team built on the side of Botany Downs. The amount of engage there with the Malphite, the Jarvan, and of course the Leona ultimate, they can block down this Vayne and kill it before it really gets off the ground. They did it last time as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. They do have a Cassio, and they do have possibly
no, they're goon squatting Daiki.
Oh.
Does flash away from the ultimate, but unfortunately, with so many members piling in there, they will get caught up in the blender, but will they have enough damage to survive? Well, the Infernum coming out, I'm not so sure on that one, Captain. The top 2 members of De La Salle. The top and jungle will fall, and with them gone, Baron is absolutely on the table.
Yeah, Daiki did a really good job of actually avoiding a lot of the damage that came across initially. They kind of wasted a couple of ultimates. He did also obviously manage to follow through with a good Hextech ultimate to avoid the knockup from J4. But again, with the goal lead, with the fact that they have more members there with more resources, able to get full control, and now they might end up. Look at this damage!
Yeah, I'm not so sure contesting over the wall against a Casio is the play.
No, it's not. Like, I mean, I understand them wanting to look to contest there, but you've lost 2 members. Most of it is your front line. You have no real, purpose of being there at that point other than to really just get control around the map. That's really what is the play here, right? You've lost so much elsewhere. Look for a trade. So if you can get your members to that bot side, get the tower. Look to get back some control in terms of the vision there, because even up when everything was said and done, one of the big things that I really disliked there from that 5-man play directly afterwards, when they did manage to take out 3 members, Obsess, of course, Dilma and Snowblue. No, sorry, Dilma. They managed to get rid of Snowblue, Danny, and Obsess. They didn't really take that opportunity to clear out the map. They could have gotten all the ward control into place there. They instead just managed to maintain what they were holding on to at that point in time. And really, that was very easy for Botany to come back into it to say, hey, all our vision's still available. We can just still to make plays. And that was why it was so easy for them to jump to Daiki, pick up the Baron directly afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, Dilma.
Yeah, Dilma has the slows.
Oh.
That's a 6-0 Casio with a Rylai's, by the way. And building towards a Frozen Heart. Because that's exactly what Dilma needs right now. Defensive itemization.
It's so good as well against the particular team. Again, it is the idea of just reducing the amount of auto attacks these teams can sneak out in between it. So, of course, if you're able to slow that down, that's going to be very effective. And at the same time, because you do have the Archangel staff in place there as well, just a little bit of extra boost to that. A little bit of extra boost in that mana does increase your damage, and this just seems to be a massacre now.
Yeah, unfortunately, De La Salle, there's nearly nothing they can do. It's only 8,000 gold, but it feels like a mountain and a half is bearing it down upon them. Hell, with a Malphite in Godblitz's hands, it kind of is. Haha, boom, tish, as the side of Botany Downs just continues their unrelenting assault here, crushing down the inhibitor in mid, and now just going top side with a 1-4 exactly like we saw in the previous match.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a hard comeback if there is going to be one. I mean, it needs to sort of be happening now in this next 5 crucial minutes, and it has to be off a mistake coming through from Botany Downs. They need to capitalize on that there as well, and it's really a rough position to be in when the opposing team is basically waiting for them to make, well, you're waiting for them to make a mistake. It's like, sweet, this game's essentially lost as long as these guys just play it out now. We need to at least keep these wards up, keep control, and again, that vision just seems to be damn near immaculate coming from Botany Downs. They really know how to control the game once they're in a position of control. Just put the vice grips on and just slowly grind out their opponent. Yes, they had a misstep around that 15-minute mark, but now that they've had that death, it was a bit of a wake-up call when there's 3 members dropped down. Now they've just been well and truly playing this by the book, textbook control, using the fact that they've been using their macro to find opportunities to clear out these champions, make sure there's no opposition when they look for these objectives, and they're just doing it again, as you can see, just walking in, making sure that they've got that red side bot side jungle completely under control here. Look at this, clearing out, putting the wards in position here, maybe finding a kill if possible in return as well, just to make sure they can set up for this dragon that's popping up in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, and now if you're the likes of De La Salle, you're in an impossible situation. If you contest with the dragon, you are likely to die and lose the rest of the game. If you don't contest the dragon, that's Mountain Soul. Like, what do you do in this situation, Mendrix? Do you think it's worth for this final death? Because there's going to be one final fight from De La Salle that decides, are they allowed to keep fighting or are they done for? And it looks like I was going to ask, do you think it's worth them committing to the dragon?
I'd let them have the dragon. You have such a good late game team with certain members.
Dilma is getting caught out there. The Cassiopeia forced to flash safety there. Petrifying Gates isn't brilliant as Daiki gets access to the back line there, as well as Yo trying to join in as well. But it just doesn't matter. 200 years though is still alive on the vein. The rest of the team could come out to help out. A flash forwards. Not so sure that'll work out as Obsess joins. But there's a TP into the base while all this is happening. So they are straight up going for the end. Goblet gets up the kill there, courtesy of the Thornmail he built. And that'll be it. Mendrix, that looks like it is going to be the game. Obsess is likely going to die here, but it just doesn't matter. Even if he dies, whether he wins, whether he loses, the base has been broken, and Botany Downs will win this best of 3 in a rather clean and dominating 2-0 performance.
Yeah, everything was definitely beginning to fall apart around that 12-minute mark here for De La Salle. Botany Downs did such a good job identifying where they needed to win the matches, win the games, do everything about it. And I really do just want to highlight how this team operates in terms of the decisions. They're more than happy to sacrifice a specific advantage in lane to make sure that the rest of the team gets a net benefit from it. And that really is a fantastic trademark to have in a team. Really good game, really good team play coming across, and very good gameplay as well at the same time. So really impressive in that sense of it.
Yeah, and a really good looking for this team that is now going to have to deal with their next opponent today. That will, of course, be Mansfield State High School. Our Queensland representative will have to deal with the Rising Star. Rising Star. New Zealand's always had strong teams coming in here. Rocket League, they've been super dominant in meta. League of Legends, they've been super dominant in as well. So it's no surprise that the Victorian representatives were not able to go toe for toe. A little bit heartbreaking, not going to lie, but what can you do? Cast the bias, right? But that will obviously mean that we will have that. But before we even start looking at our next game at Mendrix, of course, we want to celebrate this one and the MVP, Dilma, coming in for game number 2 on an impressive Cassiopeia performance.
Yeah, I mean, 7-0-5 did not die at all. And really, when I look at this, there was an advantage that was given to De La Salle at the start of this. And who was the person that helped completely turn this around? It was Dilma, able to find that solo kill onto Zenid, then with a flash away, bought time for Obsessed to come in to support, and then pick up the jungler directly afterwards. That gave them so much control in the mid side of the map. They were able to translate it to the bottom side. Of course, Goldblitz did a fantastic job 2-1-7 just to hold the top side, even at that disadvantage. And then from there, that just translated to a win for the rest of the team. And with Dilma having that effective gameplay, putting out so much damage throughout that as well. I mean, yes, it was pretty damn impressive, the amount of damage that was actually dished out by their Aphelios. But to be honest, Dilma was in the right spots at the right time, allowing their team to really be able to do that and allowing that Aphelios to thrive. So definitely a well-deserved MVP.
Yeah, but now the question will be, Mendrix, how are they going to go against their next opponent, the likes of Mansfield State High School? Now, this is a team that did go and fight up against King of North, the Panda Republic, in the winners bracket, and was not really able to stop one of the strongest teams that we've seen in the meta tournament. Obviously, now this is the fight for the life. Best of 3 between Mansfield and Botany Downs. The winner of this best of 3 makes their step forward towards the coveted crown of meta. And the loser, unfortunately, will have to simply watch from the sideline. Guys, do not go anywhere, as the next match, the next best of 3, shouldn't be too far away.